Today, we're talking about the power of perceived value, which I know doesn't sound that exciting, but it is because your restaurant could be the most remarkable business since Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Okay, but if your guests don't perceive it that way, or they're not aware of the awesomeness right in front of their eyes, then what's the point of being awesome? Okay, and speaking of awesome, you're awesome for being here. How you doing? I'm Dave Allred, the Real Barman from barpatrol.net for bar inventory and restaurantpatrol.net for restaurant marketing. Now, I wasn't aware of this law of perceived value during my younger years as a bar manager. I was green and naive. Okay, and it wasn't until I started my business, Bar Patrol, and I started working with bars that I began analyzing the balance between controlling costs and providing a fair value to the guest. Because as an owner, we want both. Okay, you can't give away the house just to get people to come in, but we can't be stingy either. Okay, or nobody's coming in. Okay, you feel me? Dog. All right, so a light bulb went off in my head one day. Okay, or on in my head. It's not good when it goes off, right? That would be bad. Okay, so the light bulb went on in my head when I was working with a corporate restaurant chain that shall remain nameless because I don't want to be a dick, but to this day, I think the beverage director should be strung up by her toes and dipped into boiling tar for what I would call profit manslaughter. And this is a chain restaurant we're talking about with over 300 locations in 20 countries. Okay, you've eaten at this chain. And it's a good one. All right, however, the beverage director has rocks in her head. Okay, but that's okay because it makes a perfect case study for this video so I can show you the detrimental effects that manslaughter managerial practices can have on your establishment. Okay, so here's the 411. Okay, I got connected with this particular establishment because I knew one of the GMs in my area. And I had worked with him for a couple of years. So when I asked him if he'd like some help getting the restaurant in line as far as lowering their pour costs and increasing their profits, he jumped at the chance. Okay, so I spent an hour or so meeting with him at the restaurant while observing the bartenders unknown to them and learning about their policies. Okay, and you'd think that the corporate place that had been around for a couple decades would have it figured out by now. Okay, but you'd be wrong, as was I. Okay, so here's what I observed and discovered. Okay, and I'm getting to the perceived value, I promise. Just be patient. All right, for starters, this particular establishment has huge martini glasses. And when they come out to the tables, they're filled to the rim. Okay, there's like 4 to 6 ounces of liquor in them. And in case you're a newbie to the bar industry, a normal shot is 1.5 ounces. So you can see, if you're smart, that this is bad. Okay, this is like 3 to 4 times the normal portion size. Okay, now overcoming overpouring can be easily fixed, glassware can be changed, but the establishment has to be willing to change. And at the corporate level, trying to make a change throughout the corporation is like wading through giant cement because of all the chains of command you must fight through. Okay, but that was only the start of the problem. Okay, in addition, most of their cocktails on the cocktail menu, which was created by this blockhead of a beverage director, I'm not bitter or anything, it called for 3 ounces of liquor, and yet they were only charging $8 to $9 for many of them. And when happy hour rolled around, they were only charging $6. Okay, their pour costs were like 50%. Okay, and my buddy, the GM who asked me to help, was like, I just can't figure out why our pour costs are so high. Okay, which is scary when this head of a corporation, GM for this restaurant, their supposed leader of the restaurant, can't spot this. Okay, so now let's bring in the pricing policies. Most people don't realize that ordering a straight martini is the best deal in the house. So if you want to go out and get wasted for less money, you want a lot of bang for your buck, order a martini. Okay, and this isn't just the corporate place I'm talking about. This martini issue is common everywhere. And this is because the martini glasses are often very big, okay, because, you know, they look nice, okay, but with no ice in the glass to take up space like other cocktails, the bartenders feel the need to fill them up. It's psychological because they don't want to be bitched at by the guests for short pouring. Okay, the guests see the martini filled up like halfway, not knowing that the rim gets wider as you go, and the top of it, like the inch in the top of a martini glass, is like a whole martini in itself. So when you fill it to the top, it's insane. All right, so for example, whereas a Grey Goose and soda is traditionally 1.5 ounces. A martini will often be twice as that at 3 ounces. And the most popular upcharge for a martini is only $2 for that extra shot. Okay, and like I said, this place was pouring like 5 ounces. So the guest was getting an extra 3.5 ounces for only $2. Okay, that alone is insane. All right, but it gets worse. Based on this corporation's policies, if the guest ordered any liquor on the rocks, like Grey Goose on the rocks, the bartenders were instructed to pour them 3 ounces and once again just charge $2 extra for it. You know, just like they did with the martinis. And the same went for doubles. All right, now here's where the perceived value conversation comes in. And I know you've been waiting for it. And this was like, I felt like banging my head again into a cement cinder block with rebar sticking out of it. Because when a guest orders, for instance, a Grey Goose on the rocks, they have no idea that they're getting a double pour for only $2 more, an extra 1.5 ounces. It isn't advertised. Okay, the bartender isn't telling him or her, hey, by the way, you just got an extra shot of Grey Goose, normally $10 for only $2, which would make you do cartwheels if you were the guest. Okay, I know I would. Like, what a deal. All right, instead, what happens is the guests sip on his liquor, and when the check comes, he or she thinks, wow, this Grey Goose is $12 here, it's $10 across the street, because they've had a $2 upcharge, but they have no idea that that's what's happening. They just think it's more expensive, so they're like, oh, I guess I'll go over there next time. Okay, there is no perception that they got rewarded with a great value for their dollar. It just seems to be expensive for them. All right, what a waste. I mean, who is this beverage director that they hired? Okay, I want to shake her until her tiny brains fall over her head through her ears. Okay, the same goes for the 3-ounce cocktails on their cocktail menu for $8 or $9. The guest has no idea that they're getting 3 ounces, which is a double shot. Okay, they just want a great tasting beverage. You could easily pour 2 ounces, controlling your costs in the process, and not lose a single ounce of perceived value. Pun intended. All right, now, owners have always asked me if happy hour is worth the cost because it's very difficult to quantify it. Okay, and if you ever tried to, you know. However, in this day and age, everyone has happy hour, so unless you care to be deserted from 3 to 6 p.m. every day, you have to develop a happy hour program or you're going to fall by the wayside. Okay, with that said, is happy hour worth it financially? Okay, and I say, yes, it is. And here's why. Okay, even though it's tough to measure the financial effect quantitatively, is that how you say it? And even though you are discounting the prices, it raises the perceived value of your establishment. Okay, that $2 off your well drinks and the draft beer you're offering is basically marketing dollars at work. Okay, people talk to others about your great happy hour, and then they come back again and again to experience it, and then they bring others with them. Okay, the discounts are like spending money on marketing to get people excited and coming back again. Okay, and I'm telling you, perception is everything. Okay, which brings us to glassware and the overpours. Okay, and I started noticing with all these bars I was working with and taking inventory for back when I was a bar auditor, when I first started Bar Patrol, I was basically hired to lower their variance and their pour costs. Okay, and I started noticing that most of these bars had big bucket glasses, like 14-ounce bucket glasses. Okay, and with those, you can forget about your 1.5-ounce pours tasting strong at all. Okay, even with the ice filled to the top of the glass, which they also weren't being consistent with, like some bartenders would fill to the top with ice and others would do it halfway with ice, which are two completely different tasting drinks. I mean, the one with half ice is going to get a shot of liquor and a bunch of mixture. You're never going to taste the alcohol. Okay? But here's the thing. Okay, the guests care a lot less about the size of the glass than they do about the strength of the drink. Okay, they want the drink to taste strong or they feel like they're being ripped off. And if it doesn't taste strong, they start bitching about it to the bartenders, and then what happens? Okay, the bartenders start pouring heavier because they don't want to be bitched at. Okay, I found that while using 10-ounce bucket glasses, when we use those, that about 1 in 50 people will complain that the drink tastes weak. Hardly ever happens. Okay, the rest of them are happy as a Labrador chasing a tennis ball. And if you want, I have all the glass sizes I recommend and a lot more about creating a profitable beverage program in my book, Bar Profit Maximizers, which you can get for free right here. Okay, or I'll put the link in the description as well. It's 102 pages on how to kill it with your bar profits, and it's free. Okay, so jump on it. All right, so getting back into it, the trick here for you overall is to pay attention and observe and look around your bar and determine what it is that your guests really care about. And if you can offer them something that seems like they're getting a lot for a reasonable price on your end, then you've hit the sweet spot. Because those giant martini glasses at the corporate restaurant that we were discussing earlier, the guests are getting the deal of a lifetime, but they have no idea that they're getting the deal of a lifetime. So you're losing money and they aren't even impressed. Like, what's the fucking point? All right, does that all that make sense? I know I kind of rambled and babbled about it, but I was thinking about this because I had written it actually in the Bar Profit Maximizers book. And it's a really big deal because I go out to restaurants now and I'm kind of keeping an eye on this. And these big glasses with a lot of liquor that aren't being charged very much, the guests don't even realize it. So try to give your guests a lot, but make it cost effective for yourself. All right, and in an upcoming episode, I'll actually help you out with that. I'll talk about what types of drinks you can put on your cocktail menu that will impress your guests and get them excited and increase your profits while lowering your pour cost percentage. Okay, that will be a fun time for all of us, won't it? All right, well, that's gonna do it for today. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. It makes me feel special. All right, I'm gonna see you next time. I'm out.